The Franklin County Cookbook presents the Crooked River Grill's Cooking Night.
Tonight we are going to have the Griner Girls, the Dixie Chicks from Dixie County.
Well, when we were trying to decide what to call ourselves, we decided the Dixie Chicks, but don't get nervous, we're not going to sing, because we can't sing. But we're from Dixie County, and if you're from Dixie County, you have to cook, because we didn't have stores. If you wanted pie crust, you made pie crust. If you wanted bread, you made bread. So we grew up cooking with our mom, Hazel, and Dad, our sous chef back there, who I think you've seen his great artwork. So. Even these.
Yeah.
Even these.
So we remember who we are. That's Kay and I'm Kelly, you know. Big one, big two. We have a brother too.
And then we have a Ken that's not here.
Yeah.
But anyway, we grew up in the kitchen and we love it. And everybody laughs at us because we just work with such rhythm because we've cooked together for so long. But Dad always puts artwork with everything we do, especially our wine. And we saw this in Philly. It says, wine makes everyday life easier, less hurried, with fewer tensions and more tolerance. Benjamin Franklin said that.
If you don't have your glass of wine, go get it.
So what we thought we would do is put together a holiday meal that you could do ahead of time, a lot of it, because we've been cooking for a couple days. And things that made it look like you were just cooking really hard and doing magnificent things, but they're really quite easy. So we wanted, like the biscuits, you can do those a week ahead.
Oh, yes. Keep
And
them in the refrigerator.
you can cut them and freeze them. So we did the modern day version of the famous French green bean casserole without the soup. And I think you'll find the flavors pretty much the same, and it's more heart friendly. And Kelly with her special
casserole.
Yes, it's very rich, and it's a labor of love because we cooked onions and shaved onions for over 3 hours yesterday. So I didn't have
more than that.
Right. We had no mascara on when we got back together.
And we smelled like an onion.
Yeah, we were like, ugh. You know. So anyway, I hope you all enjoy it. What we thought we would show you tonight is one thing that my mother has taught us is that a recipe is a guide. And so when we read books, we read recipe books like they're novels. And if we want to make something, we'll find 4 recipes and go across them and find what our favorite elements of it are. And the thing about cooking is don't be afraid. I'm afraid of technology, so I'm not good with it. So we don't care. You can't mess up in cooking. You just keep practicing. And
if you can read, you can cook. I've got 4 kids. I'm like, don't be intimidated. If you can read, you can cook. And eventually you'll learn, well, I think I want to add something else to this recipe, or I don't really like that. I'm going to pull this out. Never be afraid to do that. It's trial and error, and just have fun. Because we have fun in the kitchen together. And it's our therapy. I always say, when I get in my kitchen, that's my therapy. That's how I unwind. And that's the way we hope you enjoy your holidays with your cooking and enjoying your time with your family and friends. So we started with some prime rib, and Mom's going to show you to make friends with your butcher. We have butchers in Tallahassee that will chase me down the aisle and say, oh, have you been at your cabin? I haven't seen you in 2 days or 3, because I'm daily there. Or I haven't seen your dad in 2 days. Is your dad okay? Make friends with your butcher. Like with this cut, we said, can you please cut it off the bone, put it back on the bone, cut the flap for seasoning. They'll know what you're talking about. But Mom, if you'll tell them, but do make friends with your butcher. They can be your best friends.
Well, we have a combination of wonderful seasoning here that we take this flap of fat off, and we use a little oil to rub the roast with. Just rub it really good so that this,
It's just oil, and it helps your spices stick better.
yes,
Each one.
Either one.
It's all about getting it good and sticky.
And as Paula Dean says, massage it, you know, really.
okay.
Cover it with the seasoning. She does it with it.
And
Yes.
this is
Go to the
a,
Sunday night service.
this is a combination of shallots and what else?
Garlic, salt,
Salt, pepper. So
Garlic.
you just rub that on so that it's rubbed all over this piece of beef.
Is that just on one side or both sides?
Just this top side.
Fat, the
Yeah.
fat side.
Yeah.
But I season all around with, you know, fresh good
Yeah.
salt and cracked black pepper, and you can, because when the only time you get to season it is now. Because once you start cooking it, you can't add. It's the same thing if you're cooking potatoes or anything like that. You've got to layer with your
Right.
seasoning as you cook.
And
or
nothing
it's too late.
seasons better than the fat and the bone underneath. So what you need to do now is cover this flap of fat over this seasoning, and we're going to tie it up really well.
And the roast is already cut off the bones so that when you go to carve, you just lift the roast off the bones, but you've got the flavor. And at our house, my mom and I fight over bones. We don't eat the roast. We like to gnaw the bones.
Just give me a bone and a little potato.
And a
So,
glass of wine. She's happy.
so we just tie this in about 4 places for this amount of beef. And if you're good at slip knots, use a slip knot. I don't think I'd ever learn. So just tie it really tight.
While they're doing that, we thought we came with our tools to cook because no matter where you are, you have some favorite things you like to cook with. And
Yeah.
with your salad tonight, you've got some sliced apples. And so we used our mandolin, and it just made it really quick because when you're cooking for a lot of people, the more tools you have, the better off you are because it goes quicker. This is one of my favorite things. This is a chop wizard.
You're welcome.
Yeah, you can chop anything quickly with this thing.
Take it from my kitchen. It's okay.
Okay. Kelly?
Yeah, it chops everything so quickly. And it has, and you can get that at Bed Bath and Beyond. This is our favorite trick with beans, dodoya hamon. If you don't want, if you're on a diet or you're trying to avoid bacon fat, which we do this and bacon fat.
Add the bacon fat with that.
But this gives the nicest flavor to your vegetables, especially your green vegetables. This is my mom's favorite pecan chopper, which you're going to have some little pecan tassies tonight. Gotta have your apple core. And the pastry blender. I don't know if y'all use that a lot, but we have a lot of things that needed cutting up.
Clean hand. This is not a clean hand.
So we made you some drunken apple crisp tonight. We've got a little of this and that. Everybody kept coming back in the kitchen for the last 2 days with bottles, and we were accusing them of all kinds of things. So. Exactly. All right, Mom's got the roast tied up. So
This
now
is ready for the oven. So follow your recipe and it cannot go wrong.
and enough can't be said about putting your roast in a really hot oven, like at 400 plus, and let it sit
At
there.
room temperature
Yeah.
first.
Yeah,
Yes.
get your roast to room temperature, cook it at 400 for about 5-10 minutes, and then turn it down. That way it'll crust up for you, and it'll be seared, your juices will be sealed into it.
So our next recipe we need to talk about is
How long for rare? 160 degrees.
what?
It's about 20 minutes a pound, 25 minutes a pound. So that's really our demonstration tonight. Are there any questions or anything that you want to ask us about our tools? You're welcome to.
Okay.
Why do you use bones? Because I love the bones for soup.
We do cook it with the bones, and then
bones
you
on
can use
there.
them later to eat or to do soup with. And as far as the spice for the roast, you have in the recipe, but we have shallots, which is a nice mixed flavor of garlic and onions, why we like those so much. And then we may put a little more garlic. It's what you tend towards. If you want it more acqua, you can put more pepper, black cracked pepper. Kosher salt's good and robust. We had a lot of thyme, so not thyme, but the spice thyme, so we put some thyme in there. That takes a lot of time to get the thyme off those little bushes. But it was better than the onions.
I was about to say.
Yes.
A lot of time with the onions.
Exactly. But, and you know, the recipes that you have, a lot of them have things that you can get at the store, like the frozen hash browns. If you don't want to do your own potatoes, no one knows you didn't do your own potatoes, you know. But you just covered up with something good like sour cream and cheese. So,
And a lot of it you can prep the day before. You can do the potatoes and get them ready to go the day before. You can do the French onion casserole minus the topping the day before. You can cook the French green beans the day before. A lot of your prep work you can go ahead and have done so that you can enjoy the holiday with everyone. Pull it out, heat it up in time for the meal, cook your meat, do your au jus, and you look like you've been in there all day, but you've had time to visit with your family. Because we all want to spend time with our family and friends, and we're trapped in the kitchen, you know. So if you look at a lot of these menus, you really can do a lot of them before. The orange blossoms can be made before. The little pecan bites can be made before. So.
The orange blossom is as good frozen as it is like we have it. You know, just take it out of the freezer and throw it in your mouth.
okay, so is that it? Any other questions? Yes, ma'am.
How long do you let the meat sit before you cut it?
How long do you let the meat sit before you
A
cut
good
it?
15
About
minutes.
10 or 15 minutes.
At least.
At least. It can go
You know,
longer.
if you cut it like right out, you lose all the goodies. You've got to let it reabsorb, like with any kind of roast. Pork tenderloin, your steak, anything, you do never, ever want to cut right out of the oven. A good 15 minutes, I've always found, is a rule I follow. And keep hitting my husband's hand as he's walking by, picking, you know, like, get away.
Just cover it loosely with foil.
Their butcher is he's in Tallahassee at Publix.
At our Publix Southwood, in Southwood. We know them all, like I said, on a first name basis. Jay, Tracy actually did this for us because she brought it to us. She said, actually, whoever had cut it, this had already trimmed it a little too close. She said, so I cut you an extra flap of fat and put it on top because you needed the fat, you know, to really brown it and season it. You know, you need that fat to go in there. They're wonderful there. Lyle, all of them.
They're so accommodating.
They're very good people. That's why I say make friends with your butcher. They can really treat you right.
Thank y'all very
And keep
much.
your bones. I agree. That's